Yoga-VASISTHA Sara. Chapter 1. Dispassion. Salutations to that calm effulgence which is endless and unlimited by space, time, etc. The pure consciousness which can be known by experience only. Neither one who is totally ignorant, nor one who knows the truth, is eligible to study this book. Only one who thinks, I am bound, I must become free, is entitled to study it. Until one is definitely blessed by the Supreme Lord, they will not find either a proper guru or the right scripture. Just as a steady boat is obtained from a boatman, so also the method of crossing the ocean of samsara is learnt by associating with great souls. The great remedy for the long-lasting disease of samsara is the inquiry, who am I? To whom does this samsara belong? Which entirely cures it. Not a day should be spent in a place which does not possess the tree of a wise knower of truth, with its good fruit and cool shade. The sages are to be approached even if they do not teach. Even their talks in a light vein contain wisdom. The company of sages converts emptiness into fullness, death into immortality, and adversity into prosperity. If sages were concerned solely with their own happiness, with whom could those tormented by the sorrows of samsara seek refuge? That which is imparted, O good soul, to a worthy disciple who has become dispassionate is the real wisdom. It is the real purport of the sacred texts and is also the comprehensive wisdom. Following the customary methods of teaching is only for preserving the tradition. Pure awareness results solely from the clarity of the disciple's understanding. The Lord cannot be seen with the help of the sacred texts or the Guru. The self is seen by the self alone, with the pure intellect. All the arts acquired by people are lost by lack of practice. But this art of wisdom grows steadily once it rises. Just as an ornament worn round the neck is considered lost through forgetfulness and is gained when the mistake is realized, so also the self is attained when the delusion is removed by the words of the Guru. One is indeed an unfortunate person who, not knowing their own self, takes pleasure in sense objects, like one who realizes too late that the food eaten by them was poisonous. That perverted person who, even after knowing that worldly objects are deceptive, still thinks of them, is a fool. Even the slightest thought immerses a person in sorrow. When devoid of all thoughts, they enjoy imperishable bliss. Just as we experience the delusion of hundreds of years in a dream lasting an hour, so also we experience the sport of Maya in our waking state. One is a happy person whose mind is inwardly cool and free from attachment and hatred, and who looks upon this world like a mere spectator. One who has understood well how to abandon all ideas of acceptance and rejection, and who has realized the consciousness which is within the innermost heart. Their life is illustrious. On the dissolution of the body, the ether consciousness, limited by the heart alone, ceases to exist. People lament needlessly that the self is extinct. When pots are broken, the space within them becomes unlimited. So also when bodies cease to exist, the self remains eternal and unattached. Nothing whatever is born or dies anywhere at any time. It is Brahman alone, appearing illusorily in the form of the world. The self is more extensive than space. It is pure, subtle, undecaying, and auspicious. As such, how could it be born, and how can it die? All this is the tranquil, one without beginning, middle, or end, which cannot be said to be existent or non-existent. Know this and be happy. O Rama, it is indeed nobler to wander begging about the streets of the outcasts an earthen bowl in hand, than to live a life steeped in ignorance. Neither disease, nor poison, nor adversity, nor any other thing in the world causes more suffering to people than such stupidity engendered in their bodies. Chapter 2. Unreality of the world. Just as the great ocean of milk became still when the Mandara mountain became still, even so the illusion of samsara comes to an end when the mind is stilled. Samsara arises when the mind becomes active and ceases when it is still. Still the mind, therefore, by controlling the breath and the latent desires. This worthless samsara is born of one's imagination and vanishes in the absence of imagination. It is certain that it is absolutely insubstantial. The idea of a snake in a picture of a snake ceases to be entertained when the truth is known. Similarly, samsara ceases to exist when the truth is realized, even if it continues to appear. This long-living ghost of a samsara, which is the creation of the deluded mind and the cause of all sufferings, disappears when one ponders over it. Maya is such that it brings delight through its own destruction. Its nature is inscrutable. It ceases to exist even while it is being observed. Wonderful indeed is this Maya, which deludes the entire world. It is on account of it that the self is not perceived, even though it pervades all the limbs of the body. Whatever is seen does not truly exist. It is like a mythical city or a mirage. That which is not seen, though within us, is called the eternal and indestructible self. Just as the trees on the bank of a lake are reflected in the water, so also all these varied objects are reflected in the vast mirror of our consciousness. This creation, which is a mere play of consciousness, rises up like the delusion of a snake in a rope and comes to an end when there is right knowledge. Even though bondage does not really exist, it becomes strong through desire for worldly enjoyments. When this desire subsides, bondage becomes weak. Like waves rising up from the ocean, the unstable mind rises out of the vast and stable expanse of the Supreme Self. It is because of that which always, of its own accord, imagines everything quickly and freely, that this magical show of the world is projected in the waking state. This world, though unreal, appears to exist and is the cause of lifelong suffering to an ignorant person, just as a non-existent ghost is the cause of fear to a child. one who has no idea of gold sees only the bracelet. They do not at all have the idea that it is merely gold. Likewise, towns, houses, mountains, serpents, and so on, are all, in the eyes of the ignorant person, separate objects. From the absolute point of view, this objective world is the subject, the self itself. It is not separate from the self. The world is full of misery to an ignorant person, and full of bliss to a wise one. The world is dark to a blind person, and bright to one who has eyes. The bliss of one of discrimination, who has rejected samsara and discarded all mental concepts, constantly increases. Like clouds which suddenly appear in a clear sky and as suddenly dissolve, the entire universe appears in the self and dissolves in it. One who reckons the rays as non-different from the sun and realizes that they are the sun itself is stated to be nirvikalpa, the undifferentiating person. Just as the cloth, when investigated, is seen to be nothing but thread, so also this world, when inquired into, is seen to be merely the self. This fascinating world rises like a wave in the ambrosial ocean of consciousness and dissolves in it. Just as the foam, the waves, the dew, and the bubbles are not different from water, even so this world, which has come out of the self, is not different from the self. Just as a tree consisting of fruits, leaves, creepers, flowers, branches, twigs and roots exists in the seed of the tree, even so this manifest world exists in Brahman. Just as the pot ultimately goes back to mud, waves into water, and ornaments into gold, so also this world, which has come out of the self, ultimately goes back to the self. It is only our forgetfulness of the invisible self which causes the world to appear, just as the ignorance of the rope causes a snake to appear. Just as the dream becomes unreal in the waking state, and the waking state in the dream, so also death becomes unreal in birth, and birth in death. All these are thus neither real nor unreal. They are the effect of delusion, mere impression arising out of some past experiences. Chapter 3. The Marks of a Liberated Person. Jivan Mukta. The knowledge of the self is the fire that burns up the dry grass of desire. This indeed is what is called samadhi, not mere abstention from speech. One who realizes that the whole universe is really nothing but consciousness remains quite calm and is protected by the armor of Brahman. The yogi who has attained the state which is beyond everything and remains always cool as the full moon, is truly the Supreme Lord. One who reflects in their innermost heart upon the purport of the Upanishads dealing with Brahman, and is not moved by joy and sorrow, is not tormented by samsara. Just as birds and beasts do not take shelter on a mountain of fire, so also evil thoughts never occur to a knower of Brahman. Just as the trembling of the body caused by the imaginary snake persists for some time, even after realizing that there is no snake, so also the effect of delusion persists for some time, even after getting rid of all delusions. Just as a crystal is not stained by what is reflected in it, so also a knower of truth is not really affected by the results of their acts. Even while they are intent on outward actions, the knower of truth always remains introverted and extremely calm, like one asleep. Firmly convinced of non-duality and enjoying perfect mental peace, yogis go about their work, seeing the world as if it were a dream. Let death come to the knower of truth today, or at the end of eons. They remain untarnished, like gold buried in mire. They may cast off their body at Kashi or in the house of an outcast. They, the desireless one, is liberated at the very moment they attain knowledge of Brahman. To one who is desireless, the earth is as insignificant as the hoofprint of a cow. Mount Meru, a mound. Space, as much as contained in a casket. And the three worlds, a blade of grass. Like an empty vessel in space, the knower of truth is empty, both within and without, while at the same time they are full within and without, like a vessel immersed in the ocean. One who neither likes nor dislikes the objects seen, and who acts in the world like one asleep, is said to be a liberated person. One who is free from the knots of desires, and whose doubts have been set at rest, is liberated even when in the body. Although they may seem to be bound, they are free. They remain like a lamp in a pitcher. One who has easily cast off all of their egoistic tendencies and has abandoned even the object of meditation is said to be liberated even when in the body. One who does not, like one blind, recognize their relatives, who dreads attachment as they would a serpent, who looks upon sense enjoyments and diseases alike, who disregards the company of sexual union, and who finds no distinction between a friend and a foe, experiences happiness in this world and the next. One who casts away from their mind all objects of perception, and attaining perfect quiescence, remains still as space, unaffected by sorrow, is a liberated person. They are the Supreme Lord. The noble-hearted one, whose desires of the heart have come to an end, is liberated. It does not matter whether they do or do not practice meditation or perform action. The idea of self in the non-self is bondage. Abandonment of it is liberation. There is neither bondage nor liberation for the ever free self. If, by perceiving that the objects of perception do not really exist, the mind is completely freed from those objects and ensues the supreme bliss of liberation. Abandonment of all latent tendencies is said to be the best liberation by the wise. That is also the faultless method of attaining liberation. Liberation is not on the other side of the sky, nor is it in the netherworld, nor on the earth. The extinction of the mind, rising from the eradication of all desires, is regarded as liberation. O Rama, there is no intellect, no nescience, no mind, and no individual soul. They are all imagined in Brahman. To one who is established in what is infinite, pure consciousness, bliss and unqualified non-duality, where is the question of bondage or liberation? Seeing that there is no second entity, O Rama, the mind has by its own activity bound itself. When it is calm, it is free. Chapter 4. Dissolution of the Mind. Consciousness, which is undivided, imagines to itself desirable objects and runs after them. It is then known as the mind. From this omnipresent and omnipotent Supreme Lord arose, like ripples in water, the power of imagining separate objects. Just as fire, born out of wind, is extinguished by the same wind, so also that which is born of imagination is destroyed by imagination itself. The mind has come into existence through this imagination on account of forgetfulness. Like the experience of one's own death in a dream, it ceases to exist when scrutinized. The idea of self in what is not the self is due to incorrect understanding. The idea of reality in what is unreal, O Rama, know that to be the mind. This is he. I am this. That is mine. Such ideas constitute the mind. It disappears when one ponders over these false ideas. It is the nature of the mind to accept certain things and to reject others. This is bondage, nothing else. The mind is the creator of the world. The mind is the individual. The mind is the cause of the objects of perception. The three worlds depend upon it. When it is dissolved, the world is also dissolved. It is to be purified with effort. The mind is bound by the latent impressions, vasanas. When there are no impressions, it is free. Therefore, O Rama, bring about quickly, through discrimination, the state in which there are no impressions. Just as a streak of cloud stains appears to stain the moon, or a blotch of ink a lime-plastered wall, so also the evil spirit of desire stains the inner person. One with inturned mind offers all the three worlds like dried grass as an oblation in the fire of knowledge, becomes free from the illusions of the mind. when one knows the real truth about acceptance and rejection, and does not think of anything but abides in themselves, abandoning everything, mind does not come into existence. The mind is terrible in the waking state, gentle in the dream state, dull in deep sleep, and dead when not in any of these three states. The mind is samsara. The mind is also said to be bondage. The body is activated by the mind, just as a tree is shaken by the wind. Does not the fool feel ashamed to move about in the world as they please and talk about meditation when they are not even able to conquer their own mind? The only God to be conquered is the mind. Its conquest leads to the attainment of everything. Without its conquest, all other efforts are fruitless. To be unperturbed is the foundation of blessedness. One attains liberation by it. To human beings, even the conquest of the three worlds, without the conquest of the mind, is as insignificant as a blade of grass. Association with the wise, abandonment of latent impressions, self-inquiry, control of breathing. These are the means of conquering the mind. The mind becomes bound by thinking, I am not Brahman. It becomes completely released by thinking, I am Brahman. When the mind is abandoned, dissolves, everything that is dual or single is dissolved. What remains after that is the Supreme Brahman. Peaceful, eternal, and free from misery. There is nothing to equal the supreme joy felt by a person of pure mind who has attained the state of pure consciousness and overcome death.